Oscar, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Thanks, Magnus. Thanks, David, Robin, and all the people that are attending today. So it's really a pleasure to have these kind of conversations, listening to Tier 1 and rock stars like David and Robin. So today I want to share with you a project that was launched the end of last year, okay, as a combination of my experience working in innovation, applied innovation. I've been about me. I did my computer science background because I imagined myself changing the world, inventing really outstanding computers. In fact, I tried in HP before finishing my computer science degree, but I found out I was not clever enough to research. Since that I've been very lucky because I've been working with corporates such as and living very closely this innovation disruptive change. In the case of CaixaBank, I spent a lot of years there. CaixaBank is one of the biggest banks in Spain. For those who don't know, CaixaBank was the most innovative bank in the world in 27. So one of the first banks in the world that we enhanced mobile payments. We had this banking TV through TV in year 2000, where we learned that channel was not useful enough, and I learned a lot what its innovation about from corporate perspective. After my stage in CaixaBank, I jumped to run a fintech worldwide. Analytics applied to AI applied to banking, 600 banks worldwide, 35 countries in a B2B business model and in a B2C business model in Mexico and the States, where I learned that we are living in a data era where data and technology, we are able to do a lot of things. And in fact, the pandemic helps us that thanks to research and global conversations, we were able to generate value. And my last 5 years, I was in charge of one of the most beautiful jobs in my career. That was one of the executive former team in Mobile World Congress in 3 years from now. This big event that happens in Barcelona, Shanghai, Los Angeles. And in that period of time, I was the managing director of the technology transfer program, was called Collider. Their main objective was to transform European research into market value. Our magic recipe was to create market value solutions, taking advantage of research, TRL 3-4, frankly speaking, involving that conversation corporates and entrepreneurs worldwide, that with researchers, we were able to co-define market solutions toward the first investors and helping the companies grow. Similar that they began a different scale. Collider was very tiny program, starting in Barcelona, so that we were mainly focusing digital health, not biotech, health tech, clean tech, and agrotech. Okay, and this is something that we were very able to make the program grow, working directly with the European Commission. Very similar what David did in the beginning, or Robin did several years ago. Today, I want to share with you my learnings in this period of time of building or making tech projects investable, ready to market. Transformation and innovation to the market requires the combination of two different angles. Transfer ready to be transferred at someone in the market willing to pay. And in entrepreneur language, it's not the same one idea. One of the things is an opportunity, business opportunity, and the most challenging is to transform a business opportunity into real sustainable business. And speak corporates, speak investors, researchers, entrepreneurs is really similar to magic. And this is what we did in the past, and this is what I want to share with you today. What's 2BLabs about? Just to connect the dots. Is European deep tech ecosystem. So now I'm trying to do kind of magic, sharing my screen with all the attendees. I have only one screen, so I wish I'm going to do this magic. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Okay, one moment. So
something happened.
I guess you can see my screen now, Magnus.
Yes, perfect.
Is it working? Fantastic. Okay, so what I want to share with you today is what's 2BLabs. 2BLabs, it's European platform that with the main objective is to unlock this European early stage deep tech ecosystem. Okay, and the main objective is to take advantage of European knowledge, research knowledge, to create impactful global solutions, taking advantage of the following context that we are moving today. In terms of investments, okay, European is growing, China States is decreasing. I'm not going to go imagine what's going to happen after Trump policies or negotiating. I think it would be quite interesting, Magnus, to organize a different thing. But at the end, Europe is becoming one of the places to be. And we are not as a region, as different cities. London is working very well, Paris to Berlin to Dublin, Holland, Amsterdam, or Barcelona. In fact, in Barcelona and Spain, we have at least 5 very sweet innovation districts, at least mainly Barcelona and Madrid. And Europe is leading some of good technology conversations, mainly what is related to climate tech, health, digital care, or something related AI applied to the industry, supply chain, and so on. What we learned in these 5 times in running Collider, that was quite challenging to involve funds in the early stage conversations, because funds at the end is a risk management business, okay? And the earlier you enter, it's true that the expectations of benefit is higher, but the risk is higher. Sometimes funds are, most of times, not sometimes, no, sometimes, most of times, funds behave a financial mindset that when you want to transfer knowledge to the market, you need a builder. But the competition around funds with a lot of projects, with a lot of high valuation, it's really struggling. Funds are really struggling and are facing to attract good projects and in good valuations, because at the end, funds is a business that you convince anyone that invest in you to give them back a good return. And when you enter not as cheap as you used to do in the past, it's quite challenging to provide. So it explains why funds normally they're trying to fish earlier, but their challenge there is really to fish earlier does not require a financial mind, it requires a builder. On the other hand, builders, there are a lot of good builders, outstanding job, but what's quite challenging is to make the builder as financially sustainable, because the profitability of the portfolio, as Robin was sharing with us, it's a promise, okay? But what happens if the money that we need to the skeleton staff of the working capital, no? And venture builders, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of venture builders that are doing really interesting things, but they are a bit struggling in financial sustainability. And I do believe that in the future, some of them will disappear because of that, okay? And on the other hand, early stage startups, I'm not talking tier 3 or 4, I'm talking tier 3, 5, 6, 7. I'm focusing mainly in deep tech. It's fantastic to be given some advices, but it's not only out advices, give me money and much more money. So I do believe this combination between investors and builders and collaborate together to help a startup to bring to the next level is something that makes a lot of sense, as is what we do in 2BLabs. 2BLabs, our main objective is to bridge these 2 walls, funds and deep tech early stages through collaborations, reducing their investment in very early stage phases with a support program promoted one of the venture builders, specialized venture builders that are part of our network, okay? And what we do mainly with investment funds, international funds, not only European, international funds and some corporate venturings, what we are doing is to help them to build their early stage program, similar to venture capital as a service. How we do that? We connect them with deep tech startups with high potential, but we reduce the risk in investing in early stage phases where they are not used to do that, complementing this investment with an accelerator, a venture builder. What do you want to do? To say is a support program, but promoted by someone who has a life experience of that. We are mainly focusing in European deep tech ecosystem, as I was mentioning, and we are not generalists. we are working in these angles, mainly health tech, as not biotech, the rest, agrotech, clean tech, and industry 4.0. And what we help funds is to look and find out startups aligned with investment thesis. Okay, apologize because I have of noise here. Really sorry. And we work for them. We are for them scouting, doing the scouting, aligning some startups and the maturity that they are aware, they are afraid of investing in this stage. We help them investing in at least the half of valuation they used to invest, and we we bring them smart money, someone in the startup that is going to be very useful for the fund to understand with confidential information and helping the startup to do what makes sense in every moment, because what we learned in Collider, it's not about giving money to startups. And entrepreneurs, they love to create a large team of people when they are only need few of them. And when you are bringing some research person to the market, you need to define very well this tech transfer agreement, that research institution, where part of the team, researchers mainly, could be offshore to their and contracted to the research institution to reduce the skeleton staff at the working capital startup that should be working in the commercialization. But at the end, to do that, you need someone that has already done in the past this. So what we work is for the funds. Looking for startups aligned for the investment thesis and doing for them due diligence evaluation process. And at the end, every project requires different things. What we do is the best acceleration program in the market. In the European market, we define a tailor made acceleration program depending on the need of each startup. And at the end, after our program, the startups are willing to do follow-on investments with right information to reduce the risk of this decision. No? From investors, the first actor that we work with, no, we enable them to access to high impact early stage deep tech startups, get involved in a program with tier one European projects and tier one incubator accelerator program sector programs in Europe, and we help them to reduce the risk also in their investments, sharing with them the portfolio collocation in the future of these participants. Okay, important. What we learn: investors do not pay any services, so this is quite challenging. Quite challenging in the case of investors working with builders. This is something different when you talk about corporate venture builders as a service. But the fund is quite challenging to share with the investors. They are going to not to invest direct money, they are going to pay services. This is something for investors. We are doing this program for free for them. For startups, what we are giving them is to have mainly an investor from the beginning. That I don't know how many of you have been entrepreneurs, but I've tried to be several times entrepreneur. I've done all the mistakes, but I can write the different books regarding the mistakes you should avoid when you launch a specific venture. What's quite struggling for a CEO, and when you close one round fundraising, we are thinking the next, and this could distract on the go-to-market strategy and to make the company grow. What we give here is stability. Stability, having an investor from the beginning, and apart from money, and money that will have more capacity because we have a direct investment from the beginning on our program, and all investors can do follow-on investment with bigger tickets. So it seems in our program in the beginning, all projects receive direct 200K investment, and follow-on investment could receive up to 2 million. This is the average ticket of our funds. Okay, what we provide startups is a small money support program where we are going to define a tailor-made itinerary for them. Some cases will be validating the market. Some cases will be a CE homologation of EDA, depending on the biotech and digital health, for example. Or sometimes it could be industrialization, sometimes IP, completing the team. So it's quite important to see that every project requires different things. and to be sure that we are very flexible to have the right conversation every time, in my opinion, it generates a lot of value because we are very effective in transferring this company to the market, creating this sustainable business, taking advantage of a technology that could play a good important role in a business opportunity. And the third factor is quite important. Venture builders. We bring venture builders, also specialized venture builders with good track record, with world experience in that field. What we give them is to give guaranteed investment in their programs and giving them a way of differentiating to attract tier one projects. And on the other hand, be sure that all the projects, they always have full gasol to move forward and not only survive and fly in the market. Okay, this is something. And on the other hand, of course, apart than this equity services converted to equity, we give them the opportunities to get more income because all our programs are paid by startups with the money brought by the investors, part in cash and in equity, and on the other hand, gives levers of income or ways of making the business venture builders sustainable, financially speaking, and on the other hand, permits the venture builder to earn more impact in the future. Okay. In addition to that, what we have is an international network of investors or usual partners that at the end, the basis of our programs is this co-definition with the market. So we mean corporates, investor entrepreneurs that have experience, and researchers that have done really good job in the past. Okay. How is the program, our program normally structured? Of course, and it will depend on every venture builder that we are launching a specific program, but it's very similar. What we organize is a kind of called scouting, startup scouting, oriented to the investment thesis, as I was mentioning. And after the selection committee, all startups we select to be part of our program receive a direct investment of 150K, and we help them in a 4-month program where we define the go-to-market strategy depending on the needs of the project. Okay, and after these 14 weeks, what we give them is the 50K to complete this 200K direct investment, and then is when it starts this implementation program that will be provided with smart money by 2BLabs, the builder of investors. Okay, and what's the kind of project that we like? We like projects normally in separate spin-offs in 2 years' time for commercialization, 2-3 years more than time. Projects around trailing 4, 5, 6, not younger than that. Why not younger? Because after talking with several investors, TRL 2-3 or 3-4, they're very young company for investor yet. It's a question of time. Okay, and which sector I was describing? No, health tech, clean tech, industry, mobility. Okay, and what we expect is what we select these projects that we know that there's a good team, solid and balanced team. There's a good projects that have made any fundraising in the past. Okay, so it's an example that they are getting interest in the market. And we see a solid market is growing. We are working more markets around 20 billion with an duration of next 5 years of 8 to 10%. And we select projects that we are sure that we are going able to multiply per 5 their value in 2-3 years time. This is what we do, and this is what our investors like to work with. Okay, and afterwards in the calendar, no, as I was telling you, no, selection committee, I start scouting, selection committee aligned to the investment fund thesis, and afterwards the program starts, and the first investment is done, the second investment, and afterwards the fund is to direct invest in the company after helping them in this follow-on investment. What's the kind of project that we want to listen? What we want to listen from the pitch elevator session? A typical investor's pitch elevator session. What we want to learn and listen is what's the state of the technology, what the project has done, what's different, what's the IP strategy or the protected level strategy, and what they have demonstrated in small scale that technology is valuable, different, and could play an important role, a game changer. Okay, and in that pitch, what the feedback we give to the projects And this is the feedback is someone that I do believe it's very valuable. Most of people don't give feedback to the project. That is the best thing we can do to early stage projects is we like this project, but we should work on this, this, and this. Okay. And that period of time also, what we do is we agree the program condition framework in terms of pre-money evaluation. We are very open at the pre-money evaluation that where projects share with us. And in that onboarding process, what we do is to complete this first investment tranche from investors. They define the itinerary of the program, depending on the needs of the project. And after these 14 weeks, what we do is to implement this go-to-market strategy. Okay, what we do is in the validating with industry, we make the project more investable to align to the market, and we help them boosting in sales in this go-to-market relay. That afterwards, this 14 weeks program is finished, but then we are part of the board connecting with our ecosystem. Investors that are on the conversation from the beginning are able to do follow-on investments. And in addition to that, we connect with other corporates, other investors. At the end, the sooner we involve players in these kind of conversations, we enhance this go-to-market strategy, and we can make more investable companies. Okay. We to complete my presentation and to give some time for potential questions, I want to share a specific case that we have with a Portuguese SCR. Okay, that what we have already launched a program investing in 10 companies, in health 10 companies, or in 25 in 26. In fact, we have already invested in 2 months ago. One from an Austrian neurology company that was raised in this Cambridge ecosystem. That it was with a CEO under 30, a company that could be game changer in neurotechnology applied to reduce migraines. Really outstanding European project that can play an important role in this health tech new revolution. Okay, but the kind of agreements, the programs we launch with investors and builders is we have a kind of commitment with funds that we work for them in scouting, and we are going to organize for free a selection committee. But in case that they select 1 or 2 projects or 4, depending on the investment thesis and the itinerary of the program, to be part of the program of this program, they commit to invest in 1 month time 200K. And this is something that's already happening. We have done the first investments. And this is the kind of projects that we do with, in this case, it's a Portuguese firm. We're managing nearly 120 million euros. It's not a big SCR. So our typical customer is a fund, an SCR that manage different funds from 50 million to 250. This is the size that we learned appreciates more this kind of proposition. And in addition to that, what we are doing is, as I was sharing, they're going to commit 2 million investment in 10 companies. And afterwards, we expect not only in their portfolio collocation of their investments in 2BLabs portfolio that we share with them around 20% of the investment, reducing the risk. Okay. And what's the kind of project that we are working with? All these kind of projects, AI-driven health coaching, remote patient, telemedicine, AI diagnostics, digital therapeutics, all these 11 fields. So those startups that we are listening today, glad to have a conversation with you and glad to help you involving investors in the beginning. Okay. And about 2BLabs. So we are a European Innovation Network with investors and builders. And we are part of several associations, such as the HC Alliance, with nearly 50,000 European deep tech startups, a lot of experts worldwide who are in the process of being involved in different associations, sector associations. And our objective is to connect the dots in this investment side, entrepreneurs and venture builders. Example of venture builders working with, this is one of venture builders that is based in Barcelona, Berlin, and Finland. They started in industrial tech, but they're working health tech. And all of the venture builders working with, they are very good in building companies, making them survive and good ratio and valuation in both years. The second builder, one of the second builders example I want to share with you, this builder is Barcelona, Israel too. with offering public grant service, offering building services to all those sectors that we are focusing on. And to complete my presentation, just to share that we have a large network of investors. We have a large network of corporates that are very happy and willing to understand how these new technologies can bring them to the next level in applied innovation, innovation that affects to the P&L. And in the case of Collider, as I was mentioning, it was also a story in 4 years' time. We create companies or that multiply per 100 our portfolio valuation, and where 90% are alive with only 50K direct investment. It was the size of money invested with them. This is what we do, and I would be very happy to listen to you, and yes, to all anything we can help you on 2BLabs from perspective, mistakes, sharing points of view on anything we can connect the dots with investors and builders in this European deep tech revolution.
Great. Thank you, Oscar.